Chasing That Paper, presented by VegasInsider.com. And oh my God, LeBron versus MJ debates are taking over the internet. I dipped my feet in. I gotta jump out of that though. That stuff gives me a headache. So coming off a 2-2 performance here yesterday, so still on a quest for a profitable show this week. It's only Wednesday though, so plenty of time left. We're bringing in a guy to help us out a little bit here. My guy Kevin Rogers down there in Florida. Let's bring him in. Looking fantastic. Now, Kevin wanted to come on and discuss how LeBron's left-wing politics have destroyed the NBA. And I said, Kevin, it's not that type of show, so we'll save that discussion for another day. We will be discussing plenty of LeBron in the second half of the show after we rip through 8 picks across the NBA and college hoops. Kevin, how are we doing today?
Joe, it's good to see you again. Looking forward to some winners and also looking forward to boosting LeBron to the mountaintop of the NBA.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was cool to see. That was a big deal last night, despite what the haters say. Okay, enough small talk. Let's get right into the action here. 8 total picks across the NBA and college hoops. We're going to start in the NBA, and we start in LeBron's former home with LeBron's former team. We're going to eat some big chalk here. I like the Cavs minus 13 versus the Detroit Pacers tonight. So check out these Cavs on a little bit of a mini ass-kicking tour at the moment. 4-1 over their last 5 games, with the wins coming by 23, 15, 19, and 23 points. Day off tomorrow, so no look-ahead spot where they play down to the competition here. And this is a great opponent to tee off on. The average Pacers road loss comes by 14.3 points. That's the average. This team gets blown out a lot on the road. And you dig into the stats, advantages all over the court for the Cavs. Last 10 games, big gaps in EFG percentage, opponent EFG percentage, turnover percentage, opponent free throw attempt rate, and points allowed in the pink. Give me the Cavs as a big favorite tonight. Kevin, shifting over to college hoops. What's your first play?
We're going to start in the Atlantic 10, Joe, and our first pick might as well be the first president, George Washington. Let's go with GW at home this evening, taking on Richmond. Richmond. And both these teams have not played well of late, but Richmond, though, they actually just ended a 4-game skid by beating Fordham on Sunday, a game they trailed, and they had to come back late. But George Washington, though, trying to get back on track. They played well to start A-10 play. They've kind of slid off the tracks a little bit. 3 straight losses to Fordham, LaSalle, and most recently to Duquesne. And that one, they were down 30 at the half, so they're looking for a better performance, at least early on in this one. And also, the big R revenge factor. GW lost to Richmond or the second game of Atlantic 10 play, 73-63. So they're looking for a little better performance against their rivals. Also, George Washington shoots the ball much better than Richmond does. And I think this is a time where George Washington, they get things back in check, and they knock off Richmond at home tonight. So let's take the Colonials as the home dog against Richmond tonight, Joe.
All right, back to the NBA, and we're off to Miami for this one. My favorite underdog play of the night. Give me the Indiana Pacers plus 6.5. You can't trust the Miami Heat with this many points on the board. As a favorite of 4 or more this season, Miami is 5-14-1 against the spread with 9 outright losses in those games. They also cannot be trusted on their home court. The Heat are 6-15-2 against the spread as a home favorite. Cover percentage just 28.6% in that spot. Absolutely brutal. And the Pacers have beat them twice already this season. 3 tight matchups between the teams decided by 3, 5, and 2. Last 10 games, the Pacers actually rank higher in EFG percentage and opponent EFG percentage. Give me the Pacers to cover plus 6.5. All right, back to college hoops. Kevin, what are we looking at?
We're going to stay in the Atlantic 10, and we're going to stick with the George theme today. We're with George Washington the first game. We're going with George Mason in the second game. I do like them this evening, taking on Duquesne, and we'll take the points with George Mason. And this is a team that has not been great on the road inside Atlantic 10 play, just 1-4. But looking back at some of the teams they've lost to, VCU, top of the conference, St. Louis, top 3 team in the conference. Also St. Bonaventure, who's been the best home team so far in Atlantic 10 play. They had a clunker against Loyola Chicago over the weekend. But I think George Mason here can rebound. And that Duquesne team, as I mentioned before, Joe, that they just beat up George Washington on the road and just shot lights out early. I don't know if they could do it again, considering they've won back-to-back games only one time in Atlantic 10 play. So they haven't been able to capitalize a lot off a win inside the conference. And also for Duquesne, not a lot of great wins inside of the league. When, past VCU, really good win, 8-10 leader, but also they beat the likes of Loyola Chicago, St. Joe's, Rhode Island. Not really great teams that they beat, and just George Washington, who is about a middle-of-the-pack team inside the conference. George Mason's also a middle-of-the-pack team, so I don't want to take away anything, not really a big difference there, but I think that getting points here with George Mason, they've had a couple close losses in Atlantic 10 play. Let me get the points with them tonight against the Dukes of Duquesne.
All right, we're back to the NBA for this next one. We're back down in Miami once again. Quick and easy for this one. I like Tyler Hero to go over 3.5 3-pointers coming in at plus 135. So quick and easy for this one. The Pacers are awful versus the three. Specifically awful defending the perimeter against opposing guards. The second most threes allowed versus guards over the last 10 games. Darius Garland just dropped 4 in them. Their most recent game, and he's lit them up already this season. Games of 5 threes and 4 threes against them. 18 total 3-point attempts over his last 2 games. Let's hope that high volume continues tonight in beautiful Miami. All right, we swing right back around to Kevin, his final pick for college hoops. What do you got, Kevin?
We're going to go with the Big 12 this time, Joe, and I'm going to take the points with the Sooners of Oklahoma. And I think Oklahoma's got a good shot here to cover against Baylor on the road. Oklahoma's dropped 5 of their past 6 games, and granted, the one win during that stretch. They've destroyed then number 2 in the country, Alabama, 93-69. So Oklahoma's got something in the tank. It's just about being consistent. But around that, though, some ugly losses. Lost by 16 to rival Oklahoma State on the road. Lost by 10 to Oklahoma State recently at home. Also, they just got blown out by West Virginia over the weekend by 32. And the 2 league wins they have come against Texas Tech, the worst team in the conference, and West Virginia, who's right ahead of them. So they're not really beating anybody good. But on the flip side, though, Baylor, who had a tough start to Big 12 play, they have played better recently. They've won 7 of their past 8 games. But also for Oklahoma, they hung with Baylor the first time at home, losing 62-60 as 2-point dogs. Now you're getting 9.5. Oklahoma does a good job of slowing down the 3-point line to their opponents. Baylor shoots a lot of threes. I think that this amount of points is too many. So let's take the points at OU against Baylor.
Okay, back to the NBA. 2 more picks to go. We're going to start things off with the Sacramento Kings coming in at minus 7.5 over at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks this morning. They're taking on the Houston Rockets here. So check out the Kings versus the Rockets. The Kings do not play with their food, especially when it comes to games versus Houston. Wins of 20, 25, and 23, all in 2023 versus the Rockets. Absolutely destroying them. Very sloppy play here for Houston. Way too many turnovers. 30th in turnover percentage over the last 10 games. This is a big deal because Sacramento is 5th in points off turnovers over the last 10 games. And strong fourth quarters for the Kings. First in the NBA in fourth quarter point margin over the last 10 games. They finish strong. The foot does not come off the gas. Give me Sacramento minus 7.5. Okay, let's wrap things up with a plus money prop, and we're going to a pool party in Portland tonight. Jordan Poole over 3.5 threes. This one coming in at plus 140. Let's get right into it. So the volume will be way up. Of course, Steph Curry is out of the lineup here in this one, so that's a lot of extra shots to go around. Poole had 10 3-point attempts without Steph in the lineup on Monday. 8 games with double-digit 3-point attempts during Steph's absence in December and January. The Blazers' perimeter defense absolutely stinks. 25th in threes allowed to opposing guards over the last 10 games. And he lit them up for 5 on December 30th. His only game against them this season. Pool party in Portland. Give me Jordan Poole. Over 3.5 threes. Beautiful. Plus money. Indeed. There you have it. 8 total picks, guys. Make sure if you're on YouTube right now, see a chunk of people watching live right now, do me a favor. It's very easy to do. Helps us out. Smash the like button. Smash that subscribe button too. A lot of great content up here on the Vegas Insider YouTube channel. Of course, all over the map for Super Bowl 57. I think pinned on the Vegas Insider YouTube page is our Super Bowl betting extravaganza that we had on Chasing That Paper last Friday with me and Ian. All of our best plays for Super Bowl 57. So you can find them right there. Now, if you're looking to open up a new sports book, get some bets down, guys, I highly recommend doing so over at BetMGM. Let me tell you a little bit about them. It's never been easier to bet with confidence. That's because the king of sports books is giving you a can't-miss first bet offer with up to $1,000 back in bonus bets. Sign up with BetMGM using the promo code VIBONUS. You get a first bet offer up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win. That's VI bonus, all one word, no spaces, for a first bet offer of up to $1,000 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win. Just use the code VI bonus. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older to wager. Offer is for new customers only. BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Indeed. All right, so let's kick around LeBron James here a little bit, Kevin. Pretty big story out of the sports world. Last night we saw LeBron, I think he scored 38 points last night, and now he is the #1 all-time scorer in NBA history. So let's unpack this a little bit here and take a look at LeBron's career. And when I think of LeBron James, I think that LeBron is wildly underappreciated, not by everybody, but by many. And I think it simply stems from people simply not liking LeBron. And because of that dislike, they are unable to appreciate his greatness, which is really weird. You know, LeBron does something great. He wins a championship. He sets a record. And a rebuttal for a lot of people is, well, Michael Jordan would have. Well, Kobe Bryant would have, blah, 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 which is absolutely silly. So what is that all about? Let's unpack this a little bit. I think it comes from LeBron initially not living up to the sky-high expectations that everyone set for him. You know, LeBron came into the league not just as the biggest prospect in NBA history, but probably in sports history. And the Jordan comparisons began immediately. But over the course of his first 8 years in Cleveland, he couldn't get over the hump and win that championship. Tons of personal success, obviously. But people held this against him, despite the fact that his best teammates in those first 8 years in Cleveland were the likes of Antoine Jameson, Carlos Boozer, Daniel Gibson, and Zildronis Ilgauskas. Said that wrong, but you expect him to win a championship with those guys? Meanwhile, at the tail end of his first run in Cleveland, the super team era starts to form. People blame LeBron for the super team era, but look what was happening towards the tail end of his first run in Cleveland. Kobe gets Paul Gasol, and that elevates them, puts them over the top. They win a championship. Look what happened in Boston, the original Big Three. People forget about that. Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, they win a championship in Boston. So LeBron's seeing all these superstars coming together, and what does he do? He goes to Miami because Cleveland was not able to build a championship team around him over a period of 8 years. And because of the fact that he went to Miami, everybody turned on him, right? And everyone just dismisses the fact that most of the great champions in NBA history played with other Hall of Famers. Let's go through the list really quickly. Jordan and Pippen, Magic and Kareem. Larry Bird had a handful of Hall of Famers around him. Kobe and Shaq. Kobe and Gasol. The list goes on. Absolutely insane. So he goes to Miami, has a ton of success there. 4 finals appearances, wins 2 of them. Of course, he goes back to Cleveland, promises a championship. The Warriors blow a 3-1 lead, and he delivers for the city of Cleveland. You would think that everything would be forgiven, and any basketball fan who has half of a brain knows what's up, but no. People still want to hold LeBron's record in the finals against him, which is absolutely Silly. So you mean to tell me LeBron couldn't beat Curry, KD, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green with the likes of Matthew Dellavedova, J.R. Smith, and Kyle Korver? Are you kidding me? The great Michael Jordan surely would have swept that team if he was in that position, right? People forget that Kyrie and Kevin Love got injured quite a bit during those finals runs with the Cavs, right? They conveniently forget that. So my point is here, I think the treatment of LeBron has been totally unfair, not by all, but by many. And it's a shame because a lot of people have missed out on experiencing all-time athletic greatness with LeBron. This guy is an all-time great athlete. It's a great debate. Who's better, him or Jordan? Great points for each of those guys. So, Kevin, what do you think? Do you think LeBron's been treated unfairly? I know in recent years people have got on him. They don't like his politics and whatnot. But I think over the course of his career, it borders on disrespect. Like, people talk about the guy like he sucks.
I agree with you. And look, 10 finals appearances is pretty special. Also winning a championship in 3 different cities in Miami and Cleveland. And I don't care, it was in a bubble. He still won a championship with the Lakers. Everyone had to deal with that bubble season and that situation. So we can't take away from him there. But you do need stars around you to win. It's impossible to win championships when you don't have superstars. And if you were to look back through the years, yeah, Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas, he won without maybe great players around him. And even that Detroit team that beat Kobe and the Lakers, they still had really good players, maybe not Hall of Famers, but you still had Rasheed Wallace and Richard Hamilton and Chauncey Billups and Tayshaun Prince and Ben Wallace. And it was a pretty good starting 5. But I think with LeBron, though, when the expectations were through the roof in high school and he ends up doing this in his career, breaking the NBA scoring record, I don't know what else he needs to do to win over people's respect. Michael Jordan played in a different era, and also Michael Jordan played in the social media era as well. I mean, you heard stories about him through the years with the gambling and other things, that he's done so many things that LeBron, if he even sniffed close to it, would totally be destroyed. LeBron's never been arrested. LeBron's a good family man, and he's been with the same, with his wife since high school. There's Michael Jordan, for some reason, this is more of a debate with people that are a little older, that are probably in their late 40s, early 50s, saying, oh, no one can come close to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan still left the NBA to go play baseball for a few years and then end up coming back and was still great. But what LeBron is able to do, 4 finals appearances in 4 years in Miami, when you get to an NBA Finals, Joe, or any kind of championship round, you can throw everything out the window. You're playing the best team from the other conference. So no one can say, well, you didn't. It's like the Buffalo Bills in the 90s that, they couldn't get over the hump. They still got there. Winning the championship is hard. And it's not like LeBron flamed out in the first round with the Heat. Like they won every time. They beat every Eastern Conference opponent when he was with the Miami Heat. And yes, Ray Allen maybe helped him out in that Spurs series with that big 3 at the end. To send that game to overtime and save their season. And you could say that the Draymond Green suspension, when the Warriors were up 3-1, that 72-win team or 73-win team that the Cavs ended up beating, shit happens. That's what it is. And they took advantage, and got to give LeBron credit. They was able to win 3 championships with 3 teams, 10 finals appearances in this day and age, NBA scoring leader of all time. There's no debate on how great he is. Now, if you go versus Jordan, obviously people are going to go a different way, but why can't they both be great is my question.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a good debate. It's close. I mean, the fact that Jordan's 6-0 in the finals, that probably trumps things and gives him, he's the 1A to LeBron's 1B. But I don't think there's much of a debate that LeBron has played against much, much, much better competition. Like, I don't think it's even close. Like, that Warriors team with Kevin Durant, that was the ultimate super team. And yeah, 100%. People do hold LeBron's finals record against him. And the one that you can hold against him, he did shrink in the one against the Dallas Mavericks. But how many years has the guy been in the league? There's not a whole lot of examples of the guy absolutely shrinking. He holds all the records now. Longevity is that's a skill too. We have all these guys that can't stay on the court, and people talk about how availability is the best ability. No one's been more available as an NBA superstar Then LeBron. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of his career goes. His story's still not over. He's still a top 5 NBA player. Right now, at 38 years old, and there's talk of maybe his son coming into the league and them teaming up. LeBron talks about when he was a kid, his favorite athlete was Ken Griffey Jr. And, of course, Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr., I think they played, one season together in Seattle. So maybe they will try to replicate that if the stars align. I think he's more likely to go chase another ring, though. And I think he could do that. If he joined the Cleveland Cavaliers as a free agent, I don't know if he can opt out of his contract at any point here over the next couple of years, but that roster they have in Cleveland, that'd probably be the most talented Cleveland team he's ever been a part of. So what do you think he's more likely to do here, Kevin? Just ride things off into the sunset with the Lakers and continue to underwhelm a little bit there, maybe chase another ring in a place like Cleveland, or go to whatever team drafts his son, even if it's a team like the Detroit Pistons or the Charlotte Hornets. That'd be pretty funny seeing LeBron in one of those uniforms. So what do you think when his story's the final season of LeBron's career, what do you think will be the case for him?
I think he finishes in LA, that he would only go to Cleveland if he didn't win a ring the first time, to try to chase that ring and win it for the city, but he's done that already. And I think with his son, he will find whatever way he can to get him to LA. If he gets drafted somewhere else in a trade to get him there, he will do whatever he has to have him probably stay in LA. I think LA, you got to just finish it out there, right? Like you bounce around again, it just doesn't look good the legacy is obviously going to be there, but you've shown that you want to be a part of this Lakers history, and you've done that by winning a title, by breaking the scoring record of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That you have Magic and Kareem and Shaq and Kobe, and LeBron is obviously in that realm with great Lakers. That why not try to win another title in LA? Like try to do that, and everyone knows that. Okay, it's not his fault that this team is the way it is because he's playing his ass off every single night. Maybe it's his fault that he's selected the kind of player. Anthony Davis, whenever healthy, is an elite player. It's just he's got to stay healthy. But past that, we know Russell Westbrook, on and off. You never know what you're going to get out of him. There's not a lot of great shooters on that team. You wish that LeBron, the GM, built that team a little better. But I got to believe he finishes off in L.A., somehow get his son to L.A. with him and finish it off and then just be done.
Yeah, I think there's a few main factors why they haven't had a whole lot of success in LA since they won that championship in the bubble. I think a big part is Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is supposed to be part of that Giannis, Jokic, Embiid tier of big men in the NBA, and he's definitely a tier or two down from them. A lot of the issues there are the injuries, but he seems to be fine playing second fiddle. I think a lot of people thought when AD came onto that team that he would eventually take over as the number one option on that team, and LeBron would kind of hang back as the number two. So there's that. Then there's the LeBron as the GM thing. They talk about how they could have brought in a guy like DeMar DeRozan. They could have done the trade with the Sacramento Kings to bring in like a guy like Buddy Hield, but no, they went out and they traded all of that depth to bring in Russell Westbrook, and it quite simply has not worked out. And I also think another big problem with LeBron is that he's got so many outside interests at this point where all of his focus, all of his attention is not totally going towards basketball. Now, he's playing great despite that, but he owns a million different businesses. He's producing movies and different entertainment and shows and things of that nature. Space Jam 2, which I still haven't gotten around to watching. I don't think I will. As a grown man, just not a whole lot of interest there. Yeah, but so some of this is on LeBron here. Absolutely, the lack of success since the championship in the bubble there in LA. But yeah, we are big supporters of LeBron James here at Chasing That Prayer. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of his career goes. Okay, guys, now I will tell you about the Vegas Insider app that gives you all of the major sports betting odds at your fingertips, along with picks and expert breakdowns. You can shop for the best odds, find props, features, and plenty more with the app. If you want more Vegas Insider content like our shows, videos, and podcasts, you can find it all on the app in the media section. Download the Vegas Insider app on Apple or Android. Bet better with the Vegas Insider app. Yeah, baby. All right, a couple of viewer pick submissions here. We didn't have, we usually have a big chunk to choose from. Just a few here today, though, so we will rip through the two of them. Underdog Specialist, I believe he gave us Tulane yesterday. That was an easy winner. He liked UMass tonight, plus 6.5. He's betting a unit and a half on that one. Give this guy a follow, by the way, at Underdog Specialist. UMass, 4-1 straight up in the last 5 games against Fordham. Stats, UMass rebound, big edge there, offensive rebounds, an even bigger edge there, and outsists 75th to 216th. Fordham doesn't like to share the basketball, apparently. So let's hope that dog barks for our guy Underdog Specialist. And our guy Schreckengast. He nailed one last night. He had the, I think it was the Sharks Tampa Bay going over. And San Jose, man, I took a look at that one, and I thought that the game was much closer than the odds indicated. San Jose went on to win in overtime. I was kind of kicking myself not taking a shot on them, but it is what it is. So he's taking the under. You don't see a whole lot of 5.5s in the NHL. 5.5 plus money, plus 104 with the Wild in Dallas. Stars on an insane 14-2 run to the under, which includes 6 straight at home, staying under. Wild have struggled offensively as of late. 21st in expected goals for and 26 in shots for over the last 10 in 5-on-5 play. Stars second in expected goals allowed and first in high danger chances allowed over the last 10 in 5-on-5 play. Indeed. Now, Kevin, last night I sat down and I watched my Pittsburgh Penguins, who were struggling going into the All-Star break. They ended up winning versus the Colorado Avalanche. They were losing for probably around 95% in that game. They end up tying it up towards the end of the third period. It goes into overtime. They actually go on the penalty kill on that one. They kill a 2-minute penalty and go on to win the game. And I got to say, correct me if you have a different opinion here, but I don't even think it's close. The NHL overtime 3-on-3, 5 minutes into the shootout, I think that is easily the best overtime or extra innings format that we have in all of sports. What do you think?
I'm with you just because the open ice and, I hate going to the shootout after that because it's just so random. But as far as that improvement to the game, definitely where I'm not sure what the stats are as far as since they went to 3-on-3, how many more games end in overtime compared to the shootout? But still, you have that opportunity for these guys, again, in the open ice to do a lot more. You don't have as much, standing around. And yes, when you have those power plays, get to 4-on-3. Yeah, it's interesting too. But look, hockey overtime is the best, regardless of 3-on-3, is the best overtime of any sport. Simple as that. Like if you're watching the Stanley Cup playoffs and you see overtime, you just got to sit and watch. Like it's just could end at any moment, which is great. So I do agree, and yes, I think that hockey overtime by far the best overtime of any sport we have out there.
So here's what I think is one of my greatest idea for all of sports, and I'll get your feedback on it. So a lot of people complain about baseball. Here's different ways we can fix things. We got to make things more exciting. They don't market the best players good enough. People don't like the new extra innings format, which they put a man on second base. I don't mind it. It's a 162 game schedule. No one's watching the 16th inning of Reds Pirates in late August. But here's what Major League Baseball should do for their extra innings format to get more of the best players involved. When the game play a normal 10th inning, and if it's still tied after that, you can allow the manager to reset the batting order at the start of every inning. So you can get your best players up in those positions. You can give the best players an opportunity to shine and in extra innings. It's not very exciting in extra innings when it's a 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up. So I think that would be a great way to highlight the players, make the best players shine. What do you think of that?
Well, I think the most ridiculous thing in baseball, Joe, is that when you pull a player that they're done and all of a sudden you're without these guys, years ago, David Ortiz or now Miguel Cabrera gets a base hit and they get lifted for a pinch runner because you'd rather have somebody faster on the bases, but then that game goes to 17 innings. Now you lose those guys batting, which I think definitely hurts the game. I think when you get to extra innings, you should be able to just put these players back in who were taken out and just be able to reinsert them into the lineup, regardless of where it is in the lineup. Just have them in there and let them continue to play. That You should not have a situation where you get an extra innings and you're having pitchers bat because you've run out of players. And you say, oh, well, why don't you manage the game better? Well, who's thinking that far ahead? That you don't say in an NBA game, well, you have LeBron James, who has not fouled out or been disqualified. He can't play anymore. We took him out in the fourth quarter, so now he has to sit out overtimes and overtimes. No, play the best players towards the end of these games, and it makes the game better. So I think you should be able to reinsert these players once you get to extra innings.
Yeah, it's a 162 game schedule. A lot of people complain about baseball. I know me and you both love it, but yeah, they need to think of some more interesting ways to make things a little bit more exciting. So, Major League Baseball season right around the corner. I'm sure Kevin and I will have a lot to discuss. I'm sure we'll do some sort of Major League Baseball preview show at some point during free agency. Before we let you go, guys, I'm going to tell you about today's handicapper heat check presented by VegasInsider.com. Your home for the best expert picks in the business since 1997. Scott Rickenbach is schooling the books with a 14-1 college hoops tear. Kyle Hunter swept the board with a perfect 3-0 record last night, and Scott Pritchard nailed 6 straight NBA winners. Visit VegasInsider.com/picks for tonight's winning plays. That's your handicapper heat check. Stay hot, bettors. All right, Kevin, I won't see you until after the Super Bowl, at least here on Chasing That Paper. So tell us quickly, we don't need a big-time analysis here, but who are you taking to win and what are you doing for the game?
I am taking the Eagles. I think that they end up, I know everyone's on them, it feels like, but I think they're favored for a reason. You look at Kansas City as an underdog. You don't get them as an underdog that often, but I think that Philadelphia's just a healthier team right now. That's what it comes down to. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. Where am I going? I'm going to a family member. There's people in town, but I will tell you, Joe, I saw you put out, I think somewhere on social media a while ago that you like watching the game alone. And that's the best thing. I agree with you. It's watching it alone. I don't want to analyze everything. But you can't go to the bar. That's amateur hour. That you can't do. You cannot go to the bar to watch the Super Bowl. You got to watch it at home.
Yes, I'm a big-time advocate of watching sports by yourself. I think out of the 18 regular season weeks, 15 of those I watch Red Zone by myself. And I think being in this profession, it's important that you're able to consume all of that. So yeah, I have scheduled to watch the Super Bowl this year in a room by myself. Big UFC pay-per-view coming up on Saturday night. I will be watching that in a room by myself. Speaking of which, we're going to have a preview for that, our best bets for the big card going down in Australia. Ian McMillan will be joining me on tomorrow's show. Hopefully he's feeling better. As we recall, he called in sick there on Monday, so hopefully he's back to full health. So, yeah, join me and Ian then. Join me and Ian on Friday as well. Same time, same place right here on the Vegas Insider YouTube channel. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Best of luck with your bets tonight. Thank you to Kevin for joining us. And as always, keep chasing that paper. Woo!